Peace, fam. Dr. She in the house. You're not going to be able to help yourself with autoimmune diseases and these sicknesses that you have that you cannot detect the origin of until you clean up your environment. Part of cleaning up your environment is removing toxicity. Your toxicity is in your soap, your toxicity is in your lotion, your toxicity is in your hair care. The stuff that comes off the shelf is usually laden with chemicals and toxins and fake perfumes. Go to 25000yearcycle.org, get yourself some proper soap. We have 3 different types, and some proper skincare, Silk Care, which is one of the best skincare products you're going to get in existence right now. 25000yearcycle.org. Dr. She out. Link in bio. Peace.
Peace and blessings, family. Sister Aja Lee. A couple of our family came to my channel and mentioned that Japan is looking for Black men to impregnate. This is very like the people who were letting me know about this weren't being crass, but the way that it was described was that Japan is looking for Black men to impregnate Japanese women, which I find very diminishing, like, you know, turning them into bedbugs or, you know, just studs. So I went looking because I couldn't, when I went, let me just share. I got this information from a website or a platform on TikTok from Tasha K. I'm making a presumption because she's not someone I would ever watch, just because I'm so not interested in celebrities, but also she strikes me as, at the very best, severely Negropean. Now, that said, that's why, seeing that she was the only person reporting on this with just absolute such, you know, trumpeting, where Japan is desperately in need of Black men to have more babies. What are you going to guarantee us? There is no us if we breed ourselves out of existence. And I wonder if this isn't a scripted kind of news report, because first off, they have such a just attractive photo. It seems like Tasha K might be like really can't wait for Black men to run over to Japan en masse and marry Japanese women. Or it's not about marry, it's just about making babies, just knocking them up. They're not asking or speaking to the Black man in any respectful regards whatsoever, which is in keeping with their general shogunai attitude. Shogunai is a word, that Japanese word for going along with whatever society is doing, no matter how awful it may be. And of course, you know, I'm going to mention Fukushima, but this is so much fun. I want to shout out a dear brother whose channel used to be The Original Man. Now he's changed it to, his last name is Whitlock. I'll put a link to his channel in the pinned comment, but I don't recall his first name. I don't think he's related to the other Whitlock that we don't really care for. But that brother is, he gets it. He's taking information in. And so one of the things that he noted is that out of all the places on earth where the population is in a freefall decline, and Japan is actually got a higher population rate, I do believe, than Korea, and China just overtook Japan in terms of their they went to 0.6 babies being born per, I don't know how many people, but Korea was at 0.7 And so Japan would be third in how few babies are having. But in Africa, they're having a population rise. As you can see here, why Africa's population is set to triple by 2100. And down at the bottom, I find it very just insulting how they're saying what's driving Africa's population growth and what can change it. And that's very subtle, just language to make you feel like that's some sort of problem. Okay. So this is true that and I would also buttress this by saying we're not suffering from a black baby dearth in the black community in the unentitled snakes of America, where they just in their media, they do not portray us as what we are. We're falling in love with being black, with black each other, black men and black women, so that they're scared to death because our numbers are also steadily increasing despite all that they do to try to, brother, unmute is funny, to change that. So there, and this is suggested for me. I am subscribed to so many Black love platforms, Black baby platforms, that I'm like, come on now, we good, right? And that's what they don't want. So this is more of the gaslighting that has been a abject failure in so many ways that they'll never acknowledge. That's my conclusion on why they're prayed for hope to turn us into hating one another. Oh my goodness, wow, I forgot Cynthia G. That is beautiful to forget her name. Why I believe she was taken off of YouTube because she had gotten so ludicrous trying to get our attention. Remember, we used to just drag her on a constant, and she had to come up with more ridiculous acts in order to keep our attention and to keep the downgrading, the bashing of Black love going on her platform. There were very few people who would take what she said, and even if they had trouble themselves finding a genuine healing Black love. I even heard swirlers having to take her down a peg because she was so embarrassing. All right. And so I think that this is more of their mess. They're really calling all of, I'm not saying Tasha K is an agent or not. I have my own conclusions, but I'm not concluding that officially. They got it. I don't know what happened, but there was a glitch with what I was recording. So I'm just going to interject. That's why the scenery is, because this is a lot of work. Go donate at 25,000 years cycle, where you get your healing done. It got cut out. I was talking about how our beloved brother Mad Black TV was talking about how the red pill Black manosphere guys were trying to use Sexy Red as the evidence of Black culture. This is part of the whole Cynthia G and the Fannie Willis. I don't know what her name is because I don't pay attention to their operative, just pushed narratives where they're trying to defame the Black woman and set up a new stereotype, like they defame the Black man with thuggery, with using hip hop. And so that it becomes that much easier as a Black person to look at each other and just figure Black love, that's so antiquated, because then you don't see any movies or narratives that are promoting the reality of who we are and remain. And it's not what is needed, because all the Korean dramas out there that are about Korean love, and yet and still, if you don't actually like your people, then you're not going to reproduce your people. But we actually love being Black. So I'm going to just clip it in right now with whatever I was saying in the original video. Keep this whole Black manosphere. We're saying that she was Black culture. As what? That's ridiculous. I could go all day long showing you all these beautiful Black men and Black women getting married, having babies, more than one. It's not 0.6, it's 6 point, all right? And they are, all the women are wonderfully sane and, very feminine looking. I know they're doing the whole thing with Caitlin Clark or whatever the heck the real horse face looking white woman is, where they could just pay a couple of, come on, most of them lesbians are married to white women in the first place, which is impossible. You can't be married to the same sex. It's just a fetish. But at the same time, they bow down literally every single time they go home to white people. Oh, anything they say, they aren't going to hurt their feelings. They aren't going to just publicly. They're well aware that the cameras are everywhere. They're not going to publicly pick on Caitlin, right? That's just, they picked the one who made the least amount of money, in my conclusion, and paid her to deck her. Okay? That's what that was all about, because they own the media. They own it. And they very much want to set it up so that it looks like all we do is just dream of ways to destroy white people, when no, that's what they do to us, because we are a prisoner of war Black nation that is the most powerful. Our GDP is truth, is righteousness, is honesty. We got to extend that so that it benefits us specifically, right? But I'm just saying, we are the most powerful. I'm including all the Caribbean people, our family there, in with that, Haiti, all right? We're the most powerful people on the planet. And so they need us to water down. So they got this whole fantasy about the Japanese woman, about the Asian woman. That's just a hill of beans. And looking for this report, because that was my question. Like, they're screaming, they're desperate for Black men to come over there and for others to inform me, which is a wonderful thing. I'm so appreciative that you did let me know about this. Made me go look for it, because I was like, wait a minute, we talking about Asians? Asian people don't like Black people. Okay? They're not like the white people in the way that they hate us, but they worship white people's opinion. Okay? So they'll do to us whatever they feel. White people will say, oh, you hate them too? Oh, good. I'm going to make you officially white. Okay? They fall for that sort of stuff. So yeah, Japan's population crisis, it might have gotten worse. I'm looking at this and I don't see anything but Tasha K's report. If this was so gigantic, if they were actually asking Black men this and they were doing it respectfully, you'd easily be able to see this reported all over the place. Even when Putin showed Black Jesus and Black Madonna, that was in some major headlines, right? Not too much, but it was out there. It was easy to find. But I can't find anything whatsoever about how desperate Japan is to get Black men's sperm. And so I just kept on going, finding little things like this right here. Tokyo government dating app. Doesn't say anything about Black people, but then Zero Hedge wouldn't say anything positive about us whatsoever. They're so comically racist. It's a beautiful thing to watch, because they're also pro-nuclear, which I might get into also. This is probably going to be a long share, because it's been a while since I shared. But you're going to enjoy yourself, I'm quite sure. All right, so Tokyo government dating app helps residents get laid. That's a good, they got good headlines. To avoid population collapse. I don't see nothing about Zero Hedge here having a conniption fit over them specifically requesting the like sperm avalanche brothers. Woo, kudos to you, brothers. Come on over there specifically. I don't see any, they're just a dating app. And this is for the residents. It's not even for people who aren't in Japan. Okay, so this is just them trying to do a booty call thing. And there was more. This is independent. I don't know too much about the independent. They look like they're official, but these guys are good at making anything, even killing the ocean, look official. And so Tokyo to launch first government-run dating app to try and halt plunging birth rate. Users to undergo thorough scrutiny before joining fee-based dating app. Why do they do that in super safe Japan? That's because there's massive stalking, massive bullying, massive rape that goes on in Japan. It's just that it's such a male-based society that they don't report on it. Once again, I'll put the link to the different YouTube platforms that tell the truth about what's going on in Japan, okay? And that's why, so they have to make sure, and I hope they do. I don't wish anybody any harm. I'm tired of the lies. I'm tired of them targeting us. For bashing, for being the poster children of every single perversion that they want to peddle around the world so they can keep everybody on a very low frequency of thought. So you can't plan ahead. You can't see that when you kill oceans, you lose, or the person who did that ocean killing should lose. It's easy, okay? And so looking around for more about how they feel about Japan. Once again, I didn't see anything about please come on over here. I just saw stuff about, once again, pushing the whole mental health thing when Japan, one of the highest, Asians, one of the highest suicide rates in the world. You're going to talk to us about mental health? Are you kidding me? You do not begin to even take care of your own population. If you have a mental health problem in Japan, there's almost no place for you to go. You might as well just move to Sweden, one of them freaky deaky places, in order to talk to somebody, because you ain't gonna find nobody over in Asian countries, right? I'm not saying whether that's good, bad, or indifferent, but if your people are, and even pregnant Japanese women, their suicide rates have gone up. Why? And my conclusion would be probably because a lot of them babies are not coming out the right way. And that's something that in their culture, they're very ashamed of having deformed children in any regard. Once again, that's horrible. I don't wish that. I just want some truth because it'll set everybody free. And this one here, this is a really excellent article. Racial dynamics are inescapable when you're dating in Japan. This isn't even written by a Black person. It's written by another Asian and from India, right? That doesn't mean your experience will be negative, but it sure means it's not going to be easy. And this person explains how, there's Asian women who have a fetish for white men, but they ain't got it for brown or Black people, right? Because in Asian societies, every single skin cream there is pretty much has a skin whitener in it. Now, I don't know, mercury is number one. That's what happened to Wendy Williams. Don't let them talk you into thinking that it was because she was a drunkard. I've known drunkards all my life. They don't act like what she was acting like, and her skin was just basically sloughing off her legs when she was once in high school beautifully melanated. Now, that is that mercury just pulling out all the tenacity of your melanin out, destroying the electrical conductivity that your melanin would have had, and so that whatever organ in your body would be functioning properly, including your brain, it's no longer getting the nutrients to sustain itself. So that's why they call it Mad Hatter disease, because the hatters back in Europe used to use mercury in order to fabricate their products, and it drove them crazy. Exactly what you saw with Wendy Williams, okay? And that's why, as I said, maybe they gave her something to make her look a little bit more sane for a moment, but then she was back to looking mad as a hatter. It's hard to get heavy metal toxin of a large scale out of the body. Mercury is a heavy metal, all right? And so in the middle, just to drill it home that these people control the media, that they're lying about that dead ocean, because it's obvious through everything they put out there. And the only thing, if you are not taking my warning seriously, is because there is a frequency to believing liars. That means you have some vested need to believe them, which is the same thing when it comes to people believing that Asian women are just naturally submissive. Oh, hell no, they're not. They were terrified, because they're men historically, long before the CCP came into power, long before Mao Zedong or whatever Deng, right, did the Cultural Revolution. They would get their behinds beat. Matter of fact, the Chinese embassy told Chinese men coming to New York, please stop beating your wives in public, right? And so you'll hear, if you go and visit these countries, people will tell you, if you hear the wife getting her behind beat, oh, no, that's none of our business. Just leave it, right? Because it's so cultural or acclimated to their expectation of life that it's just what does. So it's not that the women are just naturally so sweet, so kind. I'm not saying there aren't those who are, but I'm just saying they're not as sweet and kind as you think they are. And most of us won't do any further research because we're going to go with the legendary stereotypes that are in the movies. Who owns the movies? Do you see real black me and you up in there? No, you don't. No, you don't. So you're going over there thinking these Asian women are submissive. Why do you think, if they're that fantastic, their own men are not getting together with them? It's not necessarily that they have a problem having babies. They just don't want to be with each other. And then you're going to go over there and you're going to do better and they can't stand you? It's not going to work out. You don't know how to work it out with your own black woman who, I know the sisters, I don't care what the media says. There's no better man on the planet for a sane black woman than a black man. Okay? That's just, ain't no sexier man out there. Ain't no more rooted man. Ain't no more righteous man than the black man. Okay? So, yeah, you just got to work it out with your own before you think you can hightail it to a culture that does not like you. And you're going to find submissive women. No, you're going to find rejects who can't work it out in their own society. And they're so desperate for a man that they'll just take in their minds whatever leftovers are out there. Okay? So officials warn Northwesterners of shellfish due to contamination with toxin that can paralyze and kill you. This is all about the silence on the Japanese people's part, Shogunai, in warning the world about Fukushima. Now, I know in Japan itself, they have, after Fukushima, they enacted a secrecy act where you could go to jail for saying anything about Fukushima. Matter of fact, I noticed a real weird thing on my Instagram account that now, let me go to one where it's definitely going to show up here. Thank all of you who left comments, because this was why I couldn't speak on YouTube. And I did shares there. Oh, there it goes. Certain hashtags I can't begin to post on anymore, and they're all nuclear. Why in the world would they? This is the hashtag. You can still go to that. I can still go there. Let me click on it. Right? This is the hashtag I started for myself. And oh, I don't know who put that up there. I don't think. Oh, I guess it was me. Maybe it wasn't. Oh, beautiful sister Chelsea Davenport. Thank you so much, Queen. I appreciate that. Yeah, that was a good one. I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just saying that was a good one. There's lots of people with amazing analysis out there. I surely am not alone in amazing Black analysis. Oh, look, family has been, I didn't put this up here. Oracle Candles did this. She bought the book. Oh my God, I love you, Queen. Thank you so much. Oh, and oh wow. Look, they're doing the same thing to her too, where you can't put anything about radiation up in here. What? I mean, you could put certain stuff certain places, but why in the world would they be limiting our ability to communicate one to the other like that? Unless they just are like, no. We don't mind some people getting out there, but we don't want that voice getting out there, that warning getting out there, right? But it can paralyze and kill you. Yeah, this is not because of the jab. This is not because of corona, stereo, or anything of the sort like that. Shellfish don't get the flu, okay? And they don't go to the doctor to get inoculated. And so Japan ain't saying, I know there's some good people in Japan fighting against this. Matter of fact, this was wild. I can't begin to play it, but there is this, I want the truth. I don't want the propaganda. So the CCP is the devil, but then so's the unentitled Snakes of America. So they have different factions going against the CCP. That's a great thing. We need to expose them. But then they'll present the United States as if they're perfect. And one of the things that they're doing in this particular share, I enjoy this channel a lot, China Observer, is they're trying to make it seem that if you speak against the dumping of the tritium water from Fukushima, that you're pro Chinese, the CCP, whatever the heck, the Chinese Communist Party. What? How'd that get all tied in there? That's because anything that the CCP does, they want to bash it all. If you're trying to take an opponent down, you can get a little bit hysterical where you're just like, everything they do is wrong. And that suits the nuclear industry's purposes to once again promote the idea of, they did it once with a whole campaign called the Peaceful Atom, where they came up with uses, helpful uses of radiation, such as in CAT scans and mammography, which, oh my God, just get the thermogram, sisters, to figure out if you have breast cancer. And better yet, get my book so that you can eat well enough that you ain't got to worry about no daggone breast cancer, okay? And so they called this guy a little pink. I don't know. Little pink means that you are a fanatic for the CCP and you work directly on whatever BS, and they got plenty of BS that they put out there. And so this guy, Ironhead, in Japan, went to a temple that honors Japanese war criminals who were horrific. All I could think of is room 731. If you haven't heard about that, look it up, right? The United States went in there once they had bombed Nagasaki and Hiroshima off the map. They went in there and found this torture just facility that the Japanese were running, where they were methodically insane about torturing people. It was ghoulish, and the Americans loved it. They said, you know what, we're going to put everybody else on trial, but not these folks right here. If you give us all your records, all your data, right? This is history. This is real, right? So those dudes, they were free. They didn't have to go and, be summarily executed or put in prison or anything. But this temple is an honor to the war criminals who were caught. Should have just been torturing people and they'd have been cool, right? According to the US. But this Chinese national, they call themselves netizens, went up and peed on a monument at the temple and graffitied toilet over it because he was protesting the discharging of nuclear wastewater. And he said, we can't just sit back. I'll give them a piece of their mind. So this friggin' propaganda site, which I'm like, give it to the CCP, give it to them. But so this guy, let's see there he is. He's writing toilet on there, and he literally stood up, and they don't have him, so you can see that he's, taking but there you go, over there in that little window, you can see dude is peeing on the monument, all right? But at the same time, there's reality that if you're doing the research, then you're going to find out what's going on. So we have corrosion. This is Kyoto News. This is a genuine, legitimate publication in Japan, right? If you want to find out about the Japanese, go to Japanese or other Asian people, okay? So Tokyo, corrosion has been found on the inside of tanks used to store treated radioactive water at the crippled Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. Its operator has revealed. That's the TEPCO, Tokyo Electric Power Company, okay? This is evidence of the shoddy attempt to mitigate and control an unprecedented nuclear catastrophe. They still have not built any sarcophaguses over those buildings because the sarcophagus, same thing would happen to it that happened to these tanks that they had all the water in. I reported years back that all they had in those tanks, when you store radiation, you can't just put it in a sheet of metal, a barrel that's made out of a sheet of metal, and it's going to be okay, right? But they had to keep, and they're still pumping water, salt water, on those reactor cores, because otherwise they would just keep on getting hotter and hotter, right? You can't put it in a sheet of metal and it's not going to suffer embrittlement, also called the Wigner effect. This is what's going on with the airplanes, though I think there are 3 where it was officials, government officials who went down, one from the Ukraine, one from Iran, and one from Malawi. I don't think that was the Wigner effect brought those planes down. I think that was low-hanging fruit and putting a generalized warning out to all their operatives. You need to have chaos out in the streets. You need war because they love war. They love war because you can't, if you're trying to get fed and you have to go across a battlefield to get your food, you ain't thinking about anything else. And they love that. Okay? And so this is what was happening to all the barrels. And I have articles. I'm not going to look for them. It wasn't just tritium in there, but tritium is disastrous enough. When you see the map, I'm not going to show you the map from the IAEA. I've shown it plenty of times. And there's tests where they found radiation, and more specifically tritium, all over the freaking planet. There's your global warming. There it is right there. Okay? So I have reported that they didn't have these things lined. When you store spent fuel, as they have to, because it never stops fissioning, never stops getting hotter. And so they put it in barrels that are Rubbermaid makes them, as a matter of fact, and they're coated, they're lined on the inside, and they still have to go back in and maintain them. They actually will put the spent fuel and put it in with molten glass so that they hope it can last maybe about 100 years. And then you got to go in and do something about it, because otherwise you got to melt down with stuff that's supposed to be, oh, it's just the garbage, just the wasted fuel. This is why this stuff is not tenable. There's no place on our planet for nuclear reactors or fissioning or nuclear weapons, which need nuclear reactors to create the plutonium to fuel these weapons. There's no room for it. Japanese know that. They're doing this to their own people, and then they're gonna like call black men in to the rescue? What? What? No, they probably, if it's any report out there that they're asking black men specifically, they want to create workers. They want to create a slave class, because they know about this stuff. 180 times as much radioactive cesium detected in fish from Fukushima nuclear plant port. It doesn't stay in one place. And the FDA has allowed all food grown in Fukushima into the United States. They are giving the U.S. government free canned salmon to poor women with children. What the fuck? Okay, excuse me, but these people, I didn't expect like 12 and a half years on to be going over this and to still be the only one. That's just crazy. Like I said, the beguilement is real. Okay, the tritium, it's another report about the tritium water and how it actually, oh, there it is. Nearly 3 times more marine lives died in tritium water to be discharged. It's hot water. It's radioactive water. Of course, it's going to cause epic problems. So that Chinese guy was just complaining about it. But no, because of the US and all the other media that's controlled by the satanic elite, they expect us to be dumb. They expect us to do no research whatsoever, so that we're just sitting ducks for whatever they decide. I know we're not that dumb. We're not. I talked about the orange skies, and here we go. Inhaling smoke from California's wildfires sent 55,000 people to an early grave. And then they go over everything. Are you at risk? They never mention Fukushima. They never mention the orange skies. They just say California wildfires. But those orange skies were seen from 100 miles away. And I look at any current forest fire whatsoever happening, there's blue sky wherever on the other side of where the wind isn't blowing. But that wouldn't have been for those wildfires. There's new wildfires in California, and the skies ain't orange like that anymore. Why didn't they warn you? Scientists make surprise finding that could lengthen lives of patients suffering from different types of cancer. There's another thing that not just me, but plenty of people have said their approach to curing cancer ain't no cure. And in this article, they actually even admit it. They say, well, we go a little bit too drastic, just a little bit of chemo, just a little bit of surgery, just a little bit of radiation. Why not? Go get my book. It's on 25,000yearcycle.org. And it's filled with cures. Okay, to the best of my knowledge, the best of my research for over 10 years, right? So I just want to share with you, because you can go to Amazon if you want to purchase my books over there. All right. But I found this really interesting, because when you go and you read the reviews, which are outstanding, if it's a verified purchase, and there may be 25, well, no, on Amazon it's 50. On 25,000yearscycle.org, it's 35 for the book, 25 for the download. Okay. So that you can read it right on your computer or your laptop. And so, ominous warning from author behind Real Life Yellowface, Kate Corraine, who was dropped by her publisher after giving fake reviews to rival non-white authors, said she is terrified of being canceled when her book comes out. White people are looking for the ways to once again protect themselves with Teflon so that they can say anything and get away with it. Okay. Do anything and get away with it. So I don't know what the story is with this. Really, just wow, that's some face who may have probably been trying to pretend, because they it's soon, the more we love each other and become independent of them, trust and believe it's going to be like the, what do they call that, the 5 cent or the $5 Indians. I don't even remember, the nickel Indians, something or other, where they all of a sudden showed up so that they could get the money. And they're, oh no, I'm Indian. No, you weren't. And so I just want you to know, when you go and you read the reviews on Amazon, they're lying. When you see a 1-star review and they say, oh, like this one where they're like, oh, I know, you'll know from watching her on YouTube. They know nothing because they never bought the book. And even if they had, when you understand these people could have saved 55,000 people from going to an early grave with the strategies in that book, possibly, more than likely, saying nothing about killing an ocean is not the way you keep all of life itself alive. Okay? Saying nothing ain't gonna help. So when you see something as simple as this, and it's dependent on a fantasy about non-Black women that they have infested every single man on the planet, doesn't even matter if you're Black or not, with this notion, and you do no further research, it's not just that they want you eradicated, they want our righteousness eradicated, because there ain't nobody on the planet whatsoever who's putting it together like a woman who's here because of you. Okay? All right. Straight Black pride, used with wisdom and in submission to Allah, is heaven forever. That's the fact. Love you. Peace and blessings, family.